my name is Melissa Caluco. This is History and Value of Political Protest in the United States for Speech Communications 115. On February 1st, 1960, 4 students politely asked for service at a lunch counter at a Woolworths in Greensboro, North Carolina. They walked in, sat at the counter, and asked for service, where they were denied. And they were denied service because they were black and they were sitting at a whites-only counter. The first day, they, instead of getting up and leaving, and they wanted to really fight segregation. So Joseph McNeil, Franklin McCain, Ezell Blair Jr., and David Richmond decided to sit there and fight for the right to stop segregation down south. In doing so, they sat there all day until closing, when they finally decided to come back the following day. But when they came back, according to nchistory.com, they came back with 60 students. Did it again. Then they came back on the third day with 300 students. This time they brought awareness to the nation because now there are TV reporters airing what's going on, there's radio, there's putting it in the newspaper. And while the students kept in line with Martin Luther King's nonviolent approach, they were being ridiculed, cursed at, made fun of, tormented, but they still quietly did their homework and studied. Now this has spread to thousands. So the protesting of them sitting there peacefully spread to other towns and other states. According to author Miles Wolff, Woolworths lost 1/3 of its national sales because of the protests. And then on July 26, 1960, Woolworths stores became desegregated. What ended up happening was now they have libraries, restaurants, museums, parks, beaches, all getting rid of segregation. And now they're all becoming desegregated. And this is all because 4 students decided to protest. But political protests date back further than the civil rights movement of the 1960s. In a Time article by Nick Carbone, the original American protests, one of the first protests was the Boston Tea Party. So that was 1773, when colonists decided that they wanted to fight tax tyranny and American independence with the removal of the British rule. So that was actually the first one here. In 1848, women's suffrage, women fought for equal rights to vote. And even though it took a really long time, in the 1920s, women did get the right to vote. And it's because of them. In 1968, Martin Luther King's speech reached over 250,000 civil rights supporters to bring attention to equality in a country that was filled with hatred and past slavery. In 1969, one of the biggest protests, and you might remember what that is, one of the biggest protests in American history was Americans' involvement in the Vietnam War. And that was 500,000 people in Washington. It goes on and on. I mean, there are people fighting for rights for animal abuse, people, protesting against our healthcare system. It goes on even today. So recently, a recent example would be in September 2015, a Kentucky clerk refused to sign marriage licenses for gay and lesbian couples. And she cited it was because of her religion and it went against her Christian beliefs to do that. Gay and lesbian couples fought back to protect their rights, for which they previously fought for, to be treated equally and to be able to get married. And they did win the fight, and they're signing licenses. Whatever side you agree with or don't agree with, it's not the point. The point is that you have the right to say so, and you have the right to fight for that. So we have the freedom in this country to fight for what we believe in. We have a freedom to debate, challenge, educate, inform each other to make this country better for ourselves and our children, and that's why political protests have value.